Howdy, Roger Federer. Hope you're having a good week. You know what? Actually, I don't know if you're off or if you are you playing like in the Swiss Tennis Open or whatever. I thought I saw on Twitter there's a tennis open there. Um, yeah, so maybe you're playing in that. But also managed to see that you guys were on vacation in Sardinia. Just zero privacy for you celebrities. I swear to God. Just a picture of you and Mirko on a yacht. Like zero privacy. But anyway, regardless of that, I hope you guys had a really good time. And again, of course, you totally deserve it. So I'm just really doing an informal check-in right now. I haven't really had a chance to, well, I put together like some ideas for my next video or whatever, but I'm not going to do it yet. But anyway, so yeah, just checking in with you. Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you feeling about being number one? You know, like, what's your outlook? What's your approach as far as going into the Olympics? You know, and seemed to me from the last Olympics, obviously there was just, it seemed to me there was a broader spectrum of tennis players that I had never really seen or known of before personally, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But so it's interesting just to see like how will you sort of approach that. Is that, does that require an approach that's any different from the other, you know, just a typical tournament approach, which I imagine um, probably isn't much difference if there is any. But it's just interesting to see like how you'll approach the Olympics, what's your intention, and you know, did you check out like some of your Wimbledon stuff? Have you had time? I don't know if you've had time. Like your matches too. I want to tell you like, because it's so unfortunate. Like sometimes because I'm not like a technical tennis expert, I couldn't really see like all of the amazing stuff fully that you were what you were doing, like the little intricacies, the way that you change something, even the timing and the placement of a ball, being able to win that point. And you know, I feel like you changed up some things, you know, and it's just really awesome to like notice like the little things that you do. And again, like everything, typically a lot of things that you do seem to look like really smooth and easy, so it's sort of like to the untrained eye, which I would sort of consider myself a little, you know, a bit like, of course, like not like in comparison to someone like Borg or McEnroe, who will be able to notice different plays and things like that. But yeah, to the untrained eye, like everything just looks smooth and clean, especially in Djokovic's match. And then I went back and watched some highlights, and I just saw, you know, like he had you on the run. First of all, okay, so first of all, there was like one point, I think in both matches, where your footwork was ridiculous, man. It was just so awesome. Like you were just moving and flowing and just after everything and on top of everything. And you know, it was I guess to the untrained eye, you wouldn't notice that you know, Djokovic was trying to put you on the run, but the way you were sending the balls back, very angled, kind of like that Ryan Harrison video or whatever. You know, it was just making it look like you were just, you know, just handling everything. But then you could kind of just notice like a slight difference, you know. And I wonder like how you felt like making that bit of adjustment. And, you know, I mean, if that was an actual adjustment, which I believe it kind of is, because, you know, just given the difference between even some of the plays that I saw in Madrid and some of the plays, you know, your reaction to balls that are like widely angled, or maybe a hard serve or something like that. Um, just the way you return those shots, you know, I feel like there's a difference. So yeah, that's why I'm just totally assuming that you sat down and watched the Ryan Harrison video. Anyway. Yeah, that actually looked really, really awesome, and it's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna be really interesting to see how Djokovic is going to react. Like I said, I saw his post-match video. I thought he processed his loss really well. I think he still feels a sense of entitlement. Like, usually that's the whole process for anyone, I think, who holds that number one spot. They kind of feel like, there's a sense of entitlement. Like, listen, I can get back to that spot. So just as I feel that that's kind of his attitude a little bit. Like, you know what? His attitude was kind of like, I messed up. I made some mistakes, and I just let Roger like go, and you can't sleep at the wheel. Again, you can't sleep at the wheel. And I just really got that from his presser. And so I'm just wondering, like, like, what are you thinking as far as Djokovic is concerned? Even though I know that, I really have confidence that you can absolutely handle Djokovic, but and Murray and Nadal. And but now it's like you're at number one, so it's very interesting. It's like a couple of things, but I kind of want to save this discussion a little bit for next week. But like physically, like, what's your plan, like, longevity wise, because you're gonna be going through. Yeah, you'll be meeting with Nadal. Typically, obviously, you'll know this. You'll be typically meeting with Nadal in the semifinals, and then you'll be getting past him, and then meeting Djokovic in the finals. Which I feel like, although honestly, I feel like Djokovic is a better tennis player than Rafa, but I feel like the matchup is a little easier. Whereas, Rafa is, and I really have held back on this term, but, I don't feel that Rafa is like a better tennis player than Federer. I don't feel like obviously anyone's a better tennis player than Federer, but someone made a really just good comment like some years ago on YouTube, and I definitely can't take credit for this term, but they said something like Rafa is like the anti-Federer, and don't take that, like, definitely don't like take that in when I say that. But what I'm saying is something similar to what you say, is that some players games are suited toward others, and then there are other players who are not, their style of play is not suited or conducive to being able to have a bit of a less challenging time to get to a win. And that's what when that person said, it's not that Rafa is like this ridiculous great player, even though he's great and all in his own right. I don't take anything away from Rafa, but he's more of like the anti-Federer, kind of like what the antidote would be to a virus. Not that you're a virus, I'm just saying. Anyway, so yeah, so it's like looking at that, like, what are you gonna do about this top spin is high. What is it? It's this it's high top spin to your backhand. So it's just kind of like, what are you gonna do to neutralize that? Because I have to say, like, if you just go back, me as a fan, like, I feel you should have won Wimbledon 2008. That's straight up. I feel you should have won the Australian Open 2009. And there's nothing wrong with those matches. Like, you had 2 out of 3 of each of those matches, according to my memory. And that must be correct if you both went to 5 sets. So, so I guess I'm right. But, even when you look at like the stats, and I wasn't even really familiar with tennis, but when actually after that match at Wimbledon, I went through the stats, and like your percentages on your performance was higher. You had more points than him in Wimbledon, and maybe that doesn't even mean much necessarily, but I just remember, as being a person inexperienced toward tennis, like looking at this and going, wow, these percentages are higher in some areas than Rafa, who even won the match. And I think it was like second serve percentage and stuff like that. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but I just remember looking at some of the percentages and going, well, he actually performed higher in this area. Anyway, so it's just like kind of like what I think what I'm saying is the stats they're always pretty close with you and Rafa, and I believe that your ability is higher in a lot of areas. It's not to say Rafa doesn't have high ability, so anyone who's trying to make a nasty comment on this video, just calm down. So I'm not saying that. But yeah, so if you really start taking a look at the fact, let me just go over to this real quick, that Rafa just has, like, he has an 8-win, um, he has the 8-win lead, and what a freaking opportunity, Roger, this is. Like, now you're freaking number one in the world. You can meet with this dude in each of these damn Grand Slam finals and, like, totally roll up on that, you know, like, totally disintegrate, erode, neutralize, annihilate that freaking eight that 8-win lead. And, you know, I don't mean to, like, get all, you know, legacy and everything, but you are the freaking greatest of all time. And I'm going to get competitive as a fan and, like, say, yeah, I want that. I want you to, like, slice that damn 8-win lead down so we could just shut some damn people up. So when we say GOAT with Federer in the same sentence, it's GOAT without any BS argument. You know, oh, la la la. Anyway, I shouldn't even like communicate all that to you, because really at the end of the day it's nonsense. You know, you're number one in the world at 30 years old, which is awesome. You're totally redefining age, you know, and imagine all these players under you, like, you know, you're providing so much of an example for them that, you know, they won't have a mental block. Like, oh my gosh, 30 is coming for me. Oh, I'm going to only win one slam a year. Like, these guys are probably, you know, they're going to be standing on your shoulders, you know, based on what you've done. So anyway, coming back to you in this 8-win lead, you know, like, this is a perfect opportunity, you know, to just simply get down to business and neutralize Rafa's game. And again, you know, like, there's a lot of history there. Let's just be honest. I think as some things were processed in a not quite clear way for you, the way, you know, the losses against Rafa, some of them were processed kind of not in a way that was fully supported towards you, meaning that I don't feel like you could really see, like, the type of job that you were doing and that you could play better tennis than him. I think some of those losses really just serve as just sort of like a mental block. So it made it difficult to compete against him. But listen, you have Rafa against the ropes a lot of times. You know what I mean? And the way you are playing now, you know what I mean? If you really come up with a way to just neutralize the way that he's just, like, constantly, like, just defaulting to your backhand all the time, and then the other little things, but it's just mostly, all I ever hear is just that constant default to the backhand. All he's just doing is going to the backhand, you know? So, even if you just, like, cut down and neutralize that, and I think I saw online, again, that someone said just try to step in, and I can't imagine that you wouldn't already know that answer. But then again, I gotta kind of have to throw it out there because, you know, it's like, you know, it hasn't happened. So I don't even know if it's possible. You know, if someone hit it, you know, Rafa kind of hits the balls with some really good pace on it, and I don't know if it's possible to necessarily step in all the time in a comfortable manner where you can really put away a shot. But I believe you can do it, or I believe you can find an answer. And really the purpose of this video is just saying, like, find an answer to this one situation, you know what I mean, where this guy's just been serving to your entire backhand, has been able to rack up a whole bunch of Grand Slams. And, you know, it's, you know, I guess it's do or die for me with Rafa now. You know, as much as I love him, when it comes down to the line, I'm really seeing, like, now, whenever things come down to the line, like, I'm always on Federer's side, you know. And as much as I hate to talk about Rafa in this way, like, when it really comes down to the line, I will, unfortunately, as I guess I can see and learn. It's kind of unfortunate. It's like the unfortunate part of tennis, because you really, you know, end up liking quite a few players, and so anyway, yeah, so I mean, you know, just keeping up, like, with Djokovic, you know, like, going back to the matches, this is what my personal approach would be. I'd be going back and I'd be looking at the matches and that I've won against Djokovic, and this is I'm just talking about the most recent one, really. um, in Wimbledon. And I'd be looking at what he'd be looking at, he did wrong. And I'd be constantly tweaking wherever I thought he would. It's not to say to get obsessive. You know, I feel like you, and it's not to write anybody else off in the tennis world. I feel like you have a pretty good handle on the other players. Um, you know, and maybe I definitely want to say that lightly, you know, because there's some damn good players out there, and I definitely don't underestimate anyone at all. But I feel like if you are going to allocate your time to something, that I would definitely be looking at the matches, or at the least the highlights with Djokovic, to see where everything is gone wrong, like, you know, where he thought things were going wrong, where he might change things. And also you should be looking at things that have gone wrong. And by the way, oh my God, third set, you only had 9 unforced errors, Roger. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Oh my gosh, I'm like really happy. And I cannot lie, I feel like you're kind of watching my videos in a way. Because your unforced errors have like gone down, you know, and you know, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, whatever the case is, I'm glad. I'm so glad as a fan, you know, and I just continue to support you and just see just what's possible when you even just, you know, apply things in those areas, you know, and just being able to see your talent completely realized on the tennis court is not only a pleasure for me, but pleasure for the millions of fans who just love and adore you completely. So so that's basically it. Like, you know, you're at number 1 in the world. Like, what's your approach? You know, you'll be going up against Rafa and Joker. So I think they'll both be very desperate. And Rafa, oh, I just love it. I can't tell you that how much I just freaking love the fact that you are going to be able to go up against Rafa, and it's like he can't even go out. Rafa can't even go out like in the first, second, third, or fourth, fifth stage. You know what I mean? Because it's like he's got to make it, you know, at least sometime. You are going to meet, and now you can totally put everything away, because I feel like you're mentally, you have every capability. You're a better player than him, and this is what really, all due respect to Rafa, really, all due respect. I really like Rafa, but I'm a Federer fan first, and so, you know, if anybody who's a Rafa fan, like, listen, I'm not going to say anything great about Rafa, so just turn this video off, you know? Seriously, because I'm going to erase your comments, too, if it's, like, something really smart trying to tell me about Rafa. And I'm just telling you right now, just turn the video off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you're a better player than Rafa, Roger. You actually, you know, you're on mentally now. You know what I mean? You're on mentally. You cut down your unforced errors. I really feel like, you know, even with the Australian Open 2012, like, you look fantastic, like, playing against him, even though you were, like, in your own little mood. Like, I love how freaking aggressive you were playing. I felt like it kind of really wasn't Roger Federer's style, though. Like, you were playing, like, really high intensity, or kind of felt like you were almost, like, trying on somebody else's shoes in a way. I don't know how to explain that, but it was a beautiful way you were playing him, nice and aggressively, as far as I was concerned, from what I saw. Yeah, so I just really feel like you're there, and you know, at one point at the 2012 Australian Open, you know, I think Rafa actually yelled out in English, like, come on! Like, you frustrated him. Like, you need to know, like, as well, like, you need to soak that in, like, because it's hard, you know, I feel like it must be sort of mentally, a mental grind, you know, like, his style of play is like a bit of a mental grind, because, excuse me, a mental grind because, of the way he's just a fighter, you know. And by the way, he's actually, I saw a really nice quote on Twitter where he said, don't ever underestimate Roger Federer, he's a total fighter, or something like that. So he said something very nice about you, you know. But he's a fighter, you know. He's going to chase down every single ball, and that's, and a lot of them he's going to get back, you know, and that's because that's just who he is, you know what I mean. And I think his style of play can grind somebody down, like, mentally, you know what I mean, and throw someone off. So it's just kind of like working through that and just knowing that, hey, I'm playing I'm playing up against I'm standing next to the stove. I always use that, like, terminology. I'm standing next to the heat. That's all it is. It's just heat. And I'm going to let the match come to me, and I'm going to hold the line and keep playing. And that's what you were doing. And even though he's chasing down every ball and getting every other ball back to you, he was like, come on! Like, when he finally was able to win a point. So you need to know, like, if you didn't realize that then, like, no matter how much he's chasing stuff down, no matter how much he's going to fight to the death. Like, that's really admirable about Rafa. He's always going to fight pretty much to death if he isn't coming out injured or taking a bathroom break. Ooh, kind of hostile against Rafa today. But, yeah, so I mean, that's just his style of play, but just know that you're breaking him down. He's not showing it. He's going to keep chasing down everything, and that's not only the way he is with you. He's that way with every single player, whoever's in front of him or on the other side of the net. So it's going to be interesting. I think this is a wonderful time to really dig in, take a look at the other matches as well, and I would take some real careful time to really do some mental work around Rafa, because there's just a lot of sensitive stuff there, and you could be like, no, there's not, but I just kind of feel like there's a lot of history between you two, and it's kind of like the same way with a family member or a life experience. Like, once you have history with someone, it does kind of affect you in a certain way. So, but that effect can always be changed, and I believe that, obviously you've been doing very, very well, and obviously you're #1 in the world, so you've been able to really have a great effect. But, yeah, I would just get started on doing some extra mental fitness around Rafa as well, because he will be desperate. I think his thing is just to keep his record on you, and the reason why I think this as well is I feel, and I could totally be wrong, but I just feel like the media and people in general and on these forums and stuff like that, they just turn other people against players, you know what I mean? And it's like, you could be a Federer fan and really like Rafa too, but the way that people get on these forums on YouTube and talk about people, talk about tennis players and stuff like that, like, they just really create a hostile environment, and then suddenly you don't even like the other player. Like, suddenly you find yourself, maybe, I don't know, am I talking about me? Probably. Saying stuff about the player you don't even want to say. Like, damn, like, yeah, by the way, he did, don't try to say my player got owned in something, because in order to get owned in something, you got to have like a winning record of like a 13-0, or something like that on someone before you say you own them. And it's a terrible thing to say, own somebody. But yeah, I'm just kind of rambling on right now, but I feel like that kind of fuels not only that, the forums and the way people like to always drum up debate for who's the best in tennis, who's this, who's that, and people get very hostile, and stuff like that. And the press is also like that, and I really feel like in a certain way, like, that fuels Rafa. And I don't know Rafa. I never met the man, not one day in my life, but I really kind of feel like that gives him extra fuel on the court. Like, screw this, I'm not letting Federer beat me. So just notice all of that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? You are the better player. You can go back to the Australian Open, take a look, 2012, and yeah, take a look at that and just see, like, how quietly you were really frustrating hell out of this man. I don't know if he said vamos or come on, like, I guess the way it's pronounced, if it's pronounced with an accent, come on, kind of sometimes sounds like vamos. Yeah, because I got confused like that in another video, so yeah. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that he said come on in English, and I feel like if he was saying come on, like, he was like really frustrated. So just know your effect, and just know where you need to be in order, and like really be aware of where you need to be in order to get #1 in the world. And you know what? Let's have real talk. Rafa would be feeling like he could just serve to your freaking backhand and beat you and gain some extra points you know, to get himself into the final. You know, he could even be as obnoxious to even say that's a guaranteed final, even though, nah, maybe he wouldn't do something like that. But you know, it's just kind of good to like look at these things. You know what I mean? And people may not be thinking that way, but it's kind of good to just throw some of those things out and just really, yeah, go from there. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Have a good one. Hope you're having a great time. Good luck with the Olympics. Send my hellos to Mirka and the girls. And it's always good chatting. Always very good chatting, even if it is for 25 to 50 minutes. Have a good one. Take care. And I'll talk to you soon, I guess. Yeah, with my very organized video next time. Yeah, we'll see about that one, right?